What's up, y'all? Welcome to Better Becoming Wellness Solutions. It's your boy Rich Wilson, and today we're going to cover mobility. Now, this is a topic that a lot of people tend to just brush under the rug just due to being lazy, not thinking that it's cool, not thinking that it's important, but in all reality, this is the most important part of the whole workout. So we're going to cover a few things that we can do with the foam roller, a few resistance bands, things of that sort. So let's tune in. Alright, so to start off, what I'm doing, I'm just trying to locate a tender spot in the glutes. I always like to start at the glutes just simply due to the fact that, you know, it's easy. And it's the easiest part to just knock out and work your way down. So I like to locate a nice tender spot, wherever that tender spot may be. I'm going to lean into that side and I'm going to really try to dig into it to release as much tension as possible. And you can always start with 2 feet on the ground, but if you feel like it's not enough pressure, you can always lift one leg, like I'll show you in a second. So see, I found a tender spot, so now I'm going to lean to that side and I'm going to really dig into that muscle until I feel like I've released some of that tension. Of course, you got to hit both sides, so just make sure when you're rolling out, you can locate all tender spots so you won't forget any spots, because this will really help you out in the long run. Alright, now I move down towards the hamstrings, and if you can see, I'm moving my feet in, moving them out, just so I can hit the medial and the lateral side of the hamstrings, you know, because it's very important to hit all angles. We just don't want to, you know, cover one part of the hamstrings when there's 3. So we want to make sure we take care of that, take care of all angles. And from here, I'm just going to work my way down towards my calves. With the calves, it's a tender spot for a lot of people, just due to the fact that, you know, your calves could easily be neglected. We walk a lot, so there's a lot of tension that can build up throughout the, throughout the course of weeks, months, whatever the case may be. So take your time with this one. Start with both legs on the foam roller, and then you can build up and then cross one leg over for more tension. You can also use this technique if you find any tender spots. Just apply the pressure and kind of saw back and forth. It's not as painful for me because I'm pretty used to it now. I make sure I include this in all my warm-ups. So with this, I'm moving towards the thoracic spine, and you never want to foam roll your lower back, just simply due to the fact that there's no extra support like there is on the mid back from your ribs. With your lower back, is just your lower spine, just, you know, by itself, no extra support. So we always start midways of the back and work our way up. Almost went blank for a second. And as you can see, I have my hands behind my head, squeezing my elbows together, just so I can expose those rhomboids and mid traps a little bit more, and trying to relieve as much tension as possible. I'm going to do some extending and some flexing just to create some mobility within my thoracic spine. I'm also going to do a couple supine presses just so I can get my shoulders in that right position that I want to be in anytime I'm doing any pressing movements, that nice stable position. And you also get a nice stretch in the chest once you press up to release some of that tension in the chest that's pulling you forward. The most painful part. Switched over to the lats. With this, anytime you find the tender spots like I just did, I'll just move my arm and really just create some mobility while ironing out the kinks within that lat. Now, this is painful, so you could take the high knee and kind of lift yourself off the ground a little bit, so you won't apply too much pressure to the lat, because Yeah, you'll see. And of course, we gotta hit both sides every time, man. And if you need to, you can always spend a little extra time on either side. Just do it to your comfort range. Do it until you feel like you're loose enough. Now, I'm not just saying just roll a couple times and stop because it's painful. Really try to get the most out of this. If you're gonna put yourself through pain, you might as well get the benefit. I'm gonna switch to the chest, targeting the pecs. With this, I'm really just trying to, like I mentioned earlier, I'm just trying to release some of that tension. Because with the chest, typically when we're tight in the chest, our shoulders pull forward. So we want to release all that tension and get our posture back upright and get that nice big chest like we're supposed to have, and have our shoulders back in the right position. And to create a little bit more mobility, doing a couple presses. And while I'm doing the presses, I can also find a new tender spot, and from there, you can just dig right back into it and try to relieve as much tension as possible. That's what this is all about, just releasing all tension. Now we're going to work our way down towards the adductors. I'm going to get a nice T-spine rotation in. Now I really just threw this in because I felt like my thoracic spine was still a little tight. So I just threw that in just to loosen up a little bit more. But with the adductors, you want to start high in the crease of your thigh and then work your way down closer towards the knee. And you just take this inch by inch. Gonna reach all the way through, get us a nice stretch. And then we're gonna secure that lumbar spine, and we're gonna twist from the thoracic. I'm only 5 minutes into a foam roll session, and if you don't have 5 minutes to spare at the beginning of your workout, come on, man. It's 5 minutes. Now I'm going to target my hip flexors. With this, it's another painful spot, I must be honest. But this is also one of the most important muscles that we need to relax due to, sitting in the seat all day. If you work at a desk, you're sitting, 8 hours at a time. In that seated position, your hips are flexed. So when that hip flexor is tight, it's pulling that pelvis to the front. And then we're weakening the glutes, weakening the hamstrings. So I'm going to show you once we flip. Well, actually, I'm flipping right now. So being that the hamstrings and glutes are typically weak due to, overactive hip flexors, I'm going to extend here, activate the glutes and the hamstrings while I'm rolling out the hip flexors. So we're pretty much just activating the muscles that we need to wake up and just relaxing the other muscles we need to calm down. Then we work our way down towards the quads. The quads is another painful spot, honestly, but you can take your time with it. Start with 2 legs and then work your way to 1. So now we're going to work on ankle mobility. So first I'm going to start with a nice calf stretch, keeping my legs straight. I'm just leaning all the way to the wall. And then once I want to move towards the Achilles, I'm going to just bend my knee, trying to force my knee close to that wall. And then that's when I feel that stretch transfer closer towards the Achilles. I'm doing a couple static holds just to, try to push that limit for myself. With any stretches you do, From here, I'm just going to turn my hip out just a little bit more, turn my foot out a little bit more, and just squeeze that glute and get a nice stretch in the hip flexor. Working my way up to shoulder mobility. Right here, I'm just doing ITYs, strengthening those small muscle fibers that's positioning my scapula, rhomboids, traps, things of that sort. I'm doing a 3-second hold on each one just so I can really focus on stabilizing. You just see it from a different angle. So we have I, T, and Y. Once you do a couple reps, you'll really feel like the burn, but it's a good burn, I'm not gonna lie. But just fight through the pain and just focus on retracting with the scapula each time. We're not just throwing our arms back, we're trying to move that scapula versus just throwing the arms. I'm going to add a few extra, so I'm going to go from I to midway to T to midway and then to Y. Switching it up to cuffed angels, prone angels. As you can see, I'm retracting here, externally rotating, pressing up, come right back down, internally rotating, and then relaxing. And this is a movement you really want to take your time with, and just imagine the movement of your scapula. Movement of your scapula and your shoulder joint. Same with the hip joint, it's just a ball in the socket moving through.